Some fun, I think we're live.
Oh,
yeah, we are.
Hello. Happy post Mother's Day, everybody. Cheers.
What's
We survived another weekend.
What's in your drink?
Cheers.
Just water.
We've done this in the evening as a happy hour.
I was thinking the same thing. Matt's like, you should have a glass of wine and put seltzer. And I'm like, I'm going to want wine if I have a wine glass. But anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Liz, and I'll have everyone introduce themselves, and I'll obviously introduce myself. I know many of you that are part of these Facebook Lives every Monday are very used to Matt doing them every Monday, and I kicked him out this week. He is hanging out with my kiddos. Woohoo! And I am with all of you, and I brought these amazing women on with me to celebrate day after Mother's Day, but also to get into some real stuff here around balancing and being investors and being moms and all the stuff that we are balancing. So we have some neat stuff, kind of, questions to ask all of these amazing women. But before we get into that, let's introduce themselves, and I'll introduce myself. So many of you may not know me, and we'll go from there. Carol, do you want to start?
Sure. Liz, first of all, thanks so much for hosting this, and rock on to Matt for taking care of the kiddos. And it's a really great way to start my week. I swear I'll get to introduce me, but I'm just so excited for us all to be chit-chatting because it's a wonderful break from the situation that's going on in the other room right now. So Thank you all for being here. This is great. Anyway, I'm Carol Scott. I am the co-host of the Bigger Pockets Business Podcast, which I love. We're so fortunate to be able to talk to all these awesome entrepreneurs all over the country and all over the world. So yeah, that's me. Who's next?
Who's next? Ashley, you want to go?
Yeah. So my name is Ashley Kehr. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I am a buy and hold investor, and I am the co-host of the Real Estate Rookie podcast with Felipe Mejia. And we help rookies get started in real estate and share the journey of others who have less than 10 deals, and kind of highlight what you need to know as a rookie investor.
Awesome.
And my name is Mindy Jensen. I am the co-host of the Bigger Pockets Money podcast. And let's see, I'm a live-in flipper. I buy an ugly house. I move into it. I fix it up until it's beautiful. And then I sell it and start all over again.
And over again. Awesome.
And over and over.
And I'll introduce myself briefly. My name is Liz Faircloth. So excited to be with these three amazing women. I also run a podcast, the Real Estate Invest Her Show, which is dedicated to women. I've had all three of these great ladies on our show too. And I share a passion with all of them around supporting women in living a financially free and balanced life. And it's not always easy to do. It's not all roses and sunshine. A lot of the time it's not roses and sunshine, but there are some amazing moments, right? As we are balancing it all. So I want to just do a quick shout out for the people on live with us. Could you shout out, or not shout out? You can't really shout out. Sorry. You could put in the comment section where you're from and just, say a hello. Would be great. I see Laura. I recognize Laura. Hi, Laura. Happy Mother's Day to you. So, but yeah, put a note out there where you're from. It's always nice to know where everyone's from. I am in Pennsylvania. So, Carol, where are you from?
I grew up in Buffalo, but we've moved all over. Right now we're in Sarasota, Florida, which has been my saving grace these past 8 weeks. I'll tell you what. Anywhere else, I think I would have lost my mind by now. So
she told us she was in the pool yesterday, so we're not really too sad for her right now. But
yeah, we had an epic pool party. It was awesome.
Ashley's in a little colder area.
Yeah. I mean, Mindy and Liz, you too, kind of, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No more weather here in Buffalo.
I'm in Colorado. I also have a pool because that makes a good live-in flip, is to buy a house with a amenity that normal people don't want in that area. Yeah. So I have a pool. We're talking about opening it up, but it's supposed to snow today after it was 75 yesterday. So
that's probably not going to. So not right.
Oh my gosh. It's like not right. And it's just, I'm like, if someone was like, it's so weird and out of the ordinary, I'm like, this whole situation is out of the ordinary. So why not snow in May, right?
Yeah.
But let's get to it. Oh, cool. We got people from Jersey and hey, Bonnie, Alabama, Chicago, Pittsburgh. Hey, Lacey. I recognize some of these wonderful ladies on here. Ryan, we welcome you too. Totally cool. We love men and you're welcome to be here too. So cool. We got a lot of people from Ohio. Awesome. Texas. Cool. So awesome. Welcome everybody. We're excited to, hey, Andressa, just welcome to be on with all of you. So let's get into it. Cause this is a a topic near and dear to me. And obviously men have to balance. So let's just put that out there, right? Men have to deal with what they need to deal with. But this is all about what women are dealing with and balancing it all, and also keeping it all together with everything that's happening. Now we're homeschooling our kids. So what is working for all of you right now? Let's go there first. When it comes to keeping it all like balanced, if you will, if you're teaching your kids, you're taking care of them. How are you keeping it all straight? I mean, but obviously there was one way before the pandemic, right? And now there's like a new normal we're all working through and experiencing. So I'd love to start there. What are you doing to keep it all balanced? And let's start there.
Well, I'll start if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to say one of the big things, and it took me a while to get here through this pandemic, right? Is with the adding of so many things was just making really conscious choices about what to just let go. I mean, my house right now is tornado central. And frankly, I just don't care. That's not typical for us, right? Obviously, a lot of us were real estate investors. Our job is to make houses look really super pretty. I own a staging company, for crying out loud, right? So all these pictures and stuff that we have of my world are these beautiful magazine-worthy covers of Architectural Digest. I'll tell you what, behind these doors right now, it is the complete polar opposite of that. So that is just like one example, I think, that's really help for us over these past several weeks, is just making that conscious decision that there are so many new and extra things. What are the things that we're really just going to let go that don't matter? Because at the end of the day, my kids don't need a clean house. They need a mom that's got some semblance of sanity. So that was really a very conscious decision for our household.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
living in the before picture of a hoarder house. And it's okay. I've got a pile of laundry on my floor that needs to be folded for like 2 weeks now. I've got other things to do. I'm in the middle of turning over a rental locally, and there's all these little things that we need to do to it. And it's just, that needs to be done because renters are moving in on May 30th. So my dishes don't need to be done. I could just wash a plate when I need it, which is disgusting. But that's a really good point. Consciously letting go of stuff. I have consciously let go of a lot.
Yeah. And knowing what to choose and what not, what works for you and your family. How about you, Ashley? How have you kept it all together? You kicked your kiddos out today. So that's a good stuff.
Well, my husband owns a dairy farm, so he's pretty much home all the time. So at first it wasn't bad at all because he works at home. Well, now he's now that it's getting to be kind of better weather, he's out in the field a lot and has a lot more work to do. So he's not at home as much. Where before he kind of kept up on the cleaning, the laundry, and stuff like that, and it was no problem with the kids being home all the time. Yeah. Well, now that we're both kind of busy, everything's starting to fall a little bit behind. So the kids are at my mom's. The youngest stayed home. He can't be separated from my husband. They're, attached at the hip, but my mom's going to help. My oldest son was homeschooling. He does a Zoom call every day, and it's right in the middle of the day. So it makes it really hard for either one of us to have to stop work and, help him with that for, a half hour and do the homework. But we are appreciative of his teacher and everything like that. But it's very, very different than, getting him up for the bus, putting him on, and then, not worrying about anything all day and then coming home at the end of the day. But I have to say that I don't miss packing lunches every night before.
And then getting up super early. That's been nice for us too. Our guys, because school here starts really early, the elementary school. So my kids were accustomed to getting up at 6:30, which was, it's still dark and everything else. And that cut into my work time because many of you may know, I'm one of those just super early people. I'm I can't get everything done by that time. That's crazy. So we definitely don't miss the getting up early by any stretch. But I just wanted to comment, Ashley, I thought it was interesting, like you mentioned, the Zoom calls and stuff every day. That is this fascinating other dynamic we're all working with, right? Just this whole sharing bandwidth and all of us trying to do all these things we need to do. Right. And I think one thing that, that's worked really well for us, like all these years. And our guys they're in 3rd and 4th grade now. They're 9 and 10. And even pre-pandemic, I think this is just one of those, those interesting little tidbits, recommendations, just thought processes that might be helpful for people as you're having kids and trying to learn to balance and so on and so forth. We've always been really big on just being major proponents of the kids' teachers from day one. Like every year, right? We go to school and we go to that open house, and when there's typically like they need all these donations, and they're like, everyone just please take one and bring in some things. We'll literally walk in and we'll be like, we'll just take them all. We'll just take them all and make sure the teacher sees that we take them all, and just be like, whatever you need. And so from day one, we've always really made sure we've got this really open communication with the teachers. So just like consciously letting go at home what is and what isn't necessary, we've been able to kind of like, and again, we're just very fortunate that we're in this situation, I guess, that we have this open communication with the teachers, but we full on asked them, like just full on said, what do these kids really need to do? And what do they not need to do? What doesn't matter? And because we've put so much time and effort into being proponents and being allies with these teachers, they'll tell you like, don't do these 6 things, but if you can do these 2 things for the week, that's all that really matters. Like, thank you for the tip. So it's all for us about just refocusing what really is necessary and building those relationships to get that information that you need.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I learned that from your business relationship.
Totally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's also like, what have you continued doing to that you were doing not as often before, but have become like necessary? Like, for me, I used to meditate one week, the next week I would be like, I have not missed a day. And there are mornings that I'm just like, and I usually get a lot of my work done before my kids get up. I have little ones, I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And, Matt and I are just balancing time. He's like, he's now, with the kiddos. And I'm like, okay, what, these are the days I need. What do you need? Like every week. But mornings are my prime time. I can think. I'm like not delirious. And I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm not going to miss a day to meditate because I need my mental health. So yeah, I'm curious what other things you've done that you're like, because some ways this has either helped us like, I got to keep doing this or I'm not going to keep sanity, right? Like you were saying, Carol. Any other kind of like habits that you've done that you've actually been more consistent at now that everything's going on, or just curious?
Well, I would just say saying yes to more things because everything is on a Zoom call or live. Like it is a lot harder to say no to things because what else are you doing? And
right.
You need a babysitter or anything like that.
That's true.
So I think saying yes to more opportunities than I usually would is something that I've done different.
Yeah. I like that.
I've, I guess, kind of out of necessity. So first of all, we have been baking like every single day. And I'm like, that's a math lesson, right? That's got to be a math lesson. So we bake and we eat and we bake and we eat. So to try to counteract that, of course, I can't go to the gym. I wish I would have brought these in here with me, but I'm like, I've got to do something. So, kind of to counteract the baking situation, but just to keep my sanity, like you're saying with the meditation. So for example, I used to go to the gym early in the morning. So now I just like power walk, or I started running, which I can't even believe that's me. It's really kind of weird, but I wish I would have brought these in here with me. I have these 2 ginormous jars of salsa. Try not to laugh too hard. These 2 big jars of salsa, and they sit on the kitchen counter and they have become like my arm weights, right? So whenever I have like literally 3 minutes in the middle of something, I'll just sit there and I'll just do this with the jars of salsa, whatever. But it's just like whatever little thing that I feel like I can actually do for myself, that I'm doing a little self-improvement, and I just keep them right out on the counter. So they're always there. So it's just a reminder to pick them up and do like 3 sets of 12 of something. So it's just, it's funny what the random things come out of necessity and really no other option, just having to be resourceful, right?
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I do like the bands, I'll put them on my legs and like, as I'm cooking dinner, like squat, to the oven or whatever. Do some lunges as I go back and forth across the kitchen. But
there you go. There you go. How about you, Mindy?
We're going on walks every evening. We live in a subdivision that, well, let's see, how do I describe this? It's like an older subdivision. There's really wide streets. So it's possible to go for a walk and distance at the same time. And we're trying to do that every single day and just getting out of the house, because it's super easy to stay in the house and not leave, not go outside at all for days on end. So we're trying to do that every single day.
Yeah, that fresh air, right?
Awesome.
All right, so let's get into real estate, because obviously Bigger Pockets is all about real estate investing, and that's what we have all in common. So as we're navigating these new territories as women, as moms, we're in interesting times, right? I know all of you are in different niches, and I'm curious to get your insight into what's coming up for you. You're managing obviously what existing properties you probably have or you're involved in. Are you looking for more opportunities? You're sitting on the sidelines, kind of seeing what's going to happen. Just kind of curious to hear from the three of you what you're doing from an investing perspective. And because I think that's something on everyone's mind. It's kind of like we were all waiting and kind of like seeing what's going to happen. And then there's now opportunities coming up. And then it's like, is it time? When's the right time? Especially from a business perspective. I know Jay Carroll has been a huge, proponent of that. And now my husband every day has a new business idea. I'm like, sure. Oh my God. But anyway, but we're all navigating these times and navigating what do we do, because we're all opportunists, we're all entrepreneurs, right? So I'm curious to hear from the three of you what kind of is coming up for the three of you.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I find all my deals on the MLS. I don't do any sort of driving for dollars or walking for dollars. I will, sometimes mail a letter, but that's never panned out. So I have set up MLS searches. I'm a real estate agent in my local area. I've set up MLS searches for me that I'm just seeing absolutely everything that's coming on the market. I know my core space that I'm looking for. I'm learning outside spaces. So when I see a deal that pops up, I'm like, oh, let's go look at this. Oh, it's right next to the train tracks. I forgot about that. I had reached out to an agent. I live in Colorado, so I'm near the mountains. I reached out to an agent up in the resort towns because those are the properties that go on fire sale first. So I'm starting to watch those properties to see if there's any deals coming up. We were in the middle of a refinance in March that we broke our lock and we're waiting for a better deal. We happened on some amazing lock day, and we just refinanced and pulled all the money out of our current house so that we can go and buy another property if it pops up. So we've got cash sitting there waiting to deploy once a smoking hot deal comes up. We have a house right now. So we're live-in flippers. We had a house that we were living in. It wasn't the right time to sell it when this one popped up. So we rented it out over the winter, and now we were going to turn it into an Airbnb, which has fallen to, I think, 0% occupancy. So we are going to pivot and long-term rent that. I interviewed a guy named Tim Shiner on episode 222 of the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast. And he's got such an amazing, I don't want to call it a scam because it's not a scam, but he's got such amazing deal going on. His wife's a real estate agent, and they will rent a property that they own to somebody who's moving to the area and looking for properties. If you use my wife as your real estate agent, you can break your lease whenever you need to, because then you can close. It's a great deal for the tenant. It's a great deal for her because now she's getting like a $20,000 commission. Sure, I can skip that rent on your property this month. So we're doing that with our our new tenants that move in at the end of the month. They are going to be looking for a property. So we said, hey, no pressure, but if you use me as your real estate agent, you can break your lease whenever you want. But if they use me as their real estate agent, I've written up their offer. I know that it's been accepted. I know when their closing date is. I know all these things that are going to happen. And I'm getting a $15,000 or $20,000 commission off of it besides that. So
that's great.
I can afford to skip your $2,500 rent payment this month. I'm okay with that.
That's some super smart pivoting. I love that, Mindy.
That episode, Tim Shiner is just like, here's an hour and a half of the most amazing tips you've never heard of.
It's great.
So yeah, that's episode 222 of the Real Estate Podcast. And yeah, I'm keeping my options open. I am hoarding cash. I have a self-directed solo 401k. So I am trying to throw every dollar I can into that, because then I can turn around and invest that in real estate. That's not available to everybody. That's only available if you're self-employed or you're married to somebody who is self-employed, which I am. Let's see.
That's great.
But yeah, just keeping my options open.
So definitely, you sounds like too, you're accelerating your activity. You're not kind of on the sidelines.
Oh no, I fully believe in real estate and investing.
Awesome.
And I'm in Colorado. We have positive population growth. People can't wait to get out here. And we have super low inventory. Remember in 2008, the market crashed. All the builders went away and they did not come back. So we haven't been building for 12 years here. There's like little bits of building popping up every once in a while, but for the most part, we're doing no building, but people still keep coming here. So we have an inventory problem. I think that our market maybe prices will flatten out, but I'm seeing properties still going under contract right now. And you can't even show houses. They just opened it back up to show houses. But when houses weren't even being shown, they were going under contract. So
I think it's a really, really good point. And I'd love to hear from Ashley and Carol what's cooking for them. But the inventory question, so many times when people are analyzing markets, they look at a lot of different things, right? And I'm not certainly a market and analyst, but I certainly look at markets and I look at jobs and growth and all those sort of things. But inventory, you have to keep that at like the front of the top of the list, because it's so powerful to say, if you had an area before the pandemic that was, inventory was kind of scarce, it's only probably increased, right? That issue now, I would think. So it's just, we live in an area that inventory, and we swore we weren't doing a lot of flips anymore. It was just, we wanted to focus multifamily because we're multifamily investors. And I was running, knock on wood, I ran, thank God, a couple of days ago and I haven't run in a while. And I was running and I saw two properties that just were complete opportunities. And I'm like, and I came home, I'm like, Matt, I think we need to look into those two properties. I'm going to be looking into them. He's like, you think? We promised we weren't going to flip property. I'm like, this is a perfect area. So if you have an area and it would work, especially from an inventory, because we have nothing available, people want to get into this area. So I just wanted to stress that, because every market and everything happening in our world offers opportunity, and you have to keep an eye open for those opportunities. And I was someone who was like, I'm not flipping anymore, but I might be.
I just want to address Sharon's question. Is the rental furnished? No, we were going to start furnishing it. And then the coronavirus hit. So we hadn't, I bought like little bits of things. Like I have 2 comforters and like some random stuff, but I was getting ready to start furnishing it. And then the coronavirus said, oh, you don't need to anymore. So they're moving here with their own stuff.
The coronavirus said that you don't need to. Carol, what's cooking for you guys? I know you have a lot of things cooking. So what's coming up for you as you're navigating this?
Oh my gosh, it's been such the crazy adventure. So we moved here to Sarasota just about a year ago, and we're very opposite from what you, Mindy, and Liz are describing from an inventory standpoint. There's a lot of inventory. We still marvel at the fact that we were a bit surprised when we got down here to find that with all of the new housing starts around us, I'm like, this feels exactly like Atlanta in 2008. It was interesting. There are lots of starts, and there still is. That is the case. Once this pandemic hit, our market's kind of at a complete halt right now. Like you're talking there, obviously everything is all, different locations and so on. Here, so much of our population, of course, is elderly and retired. Those folks are just not leaving, even though Florida has started opening some stuff up. It is, and people aren't, there are some listings going up, but very few. The people that we do know that are listing right now are just kind of, they're just kind of sitting and not seeing, they're like the kind of word on the street and the data shows, there just are not buyers right now. And a big piece of that as well is simply because, Florida is just a state that people relocate to. And so you just can't do that right now. Also, the governor put a halt on all Airbnb rentals. So that is slowing things down massively. So that is fine for us. Actually, that has kind of, our focus has not been doing a ton of real estate. We had suspected there would be some market correction coming up anyway. So though we've been doing a bunch of flips, our focus has really been geared toward this whole buying these other businesses. So we really see that for our world, that is such a big opportunity. And interestingly, all of the businesses that we're doing are all real estate related, right? So when we first moved down here, I started my concierge brokerage as well as my staging company. And a big part of the concierge realty concept is to be able to provide all of these home sellers with services to go ahead and get their houses renovated so that they can sell them, because otherwise, they're just competing against everybody else that have these 25-year-old houses, which, they're beautiful and lovely, but they're very much in like the style of 1995, which today's buyers don't want. So interestingly, this whole time, it's a beautiful thing. It's given us an opportunity to, to work on purchasing and getting interest shares in different companies that support our real estate business. So that's really been our focus right now. And I love it because, of course, it's real estate related. Jay and I are able to do it together with some other partners, and it's just venturing out a little bit differently and doing stuff that's a little bit different, but related at the same time. So yeah, it's been an interesting time for us.
But I think also, Carol, what you're doing, and you're doing it magically, and not magically like hocus pocus, but magically from the perspective of like, there's a lot of opportunity, and you're like, okay, where's the opportunity from a business perspective? And then sometimes that answer is kind of like real estate, obviously related. And then you're just figuring out what's connected to real estate that I'm going to need anyway, and my properties are going to need. And I think that's a really smart approach, because it's not going to go away, whether as things get lifted, right? Whether it's whatever business you're like, give us an example. One of the businesses you're partner of her.
So one of the things, like Jay, for example, just started a mold fire water remediation company, right? So that just feeds into obviously real estate so much, because as part of that is, you go in and you clear the mold out of someone's house, or you deflood the house or whatever that is. Well, you need that space renovated. So our guys will go in and renovate that space. So it's all just, again, it's all very full circle. It's so you can feed that into other aspects of our business. So so that's an example.
But you're working with businesses that might have tired owners. And how many times have we all said, like, we're always looking for tired landlords, right? You're looking for that landlord who's like, I don't want to deal with tenants anymore. And you're like raising your hand, like, me, I want to buy your property. It's the same thing with businesses, right? These folks have now been 6-7 weeks without any money. Their business has been shut down. People are going to be tired.
And often, these are very similar to the homes that I'm talking about that are so prevalent in this part of Florida. The businesses are the same type of thing. So these people moved down here to semi-retire 25 years ago, and they may have started like a pool cleaning company, or they may have started a landscaping company, or they may have started a roofing company. But after 20 or 25 years, they really are just ready to be done, but they've got employees. So they don't want to just bail on their people, because these people have been with them forever and they want to do the right thing by their people. But at the same time, they're realizing, the world's going to change substantially now. Who knows what's going to happen with the economy? Yeah. This might be really the time for me to exit stage left. So we are seeing all of these opportunities out there about people very similarly to distressed homes, just tired landlords, tired business owners. It's all a big parallel in how we're approaching, purchasing businesses. It's very much like purchasing distressed properties, purchasing businesses that need some help.
Yeah. And creating that win-win, right? They wanted to get out, and now you're just making it a little bit sooner. Yeah.
You got it.
Carol, you and Jay just did like an amazing episode where you talked about buying businesses. You interviewed somebody about now's the time to buy businesses. What episode was that? Do you remember?
That was, it's Nigel Geisinger was our guest. I believe he's episode 51. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Phenomenal. So I've got to pitch this show just for a second. Listeners, people on Facebook right now, if you have not checked out Bigger Pockets Business Podcast, I believe it's 51, Nigel Geisinger, please check it out. It talks all about these small businesses. Again, there are so many parallels to real estate. It's really uncanny. And it talks about financing them, doing things like owner financing, just like, all the different creative ways of making deals work and structuring deals similarly to how you do with real estate. There are a ton of small businesses out there. And he talks about we all can be out there saving these small businesses one at a time by giving them new ownership.
Yeah. Creating that win-win, right? Which we're all after.
You got it.
Are you pointing your finger up still? Or are you doing this?
Yes, I forgot I had.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
My mic off so I could type and see what that is. You can find that is episode 51, and you can find that at biggerpockets.com/bizshow51, BIZSHOW51.
And just to mention, I know the folks that are watching this probably know this already, but you have 3 podcast hosts on this live with me, which is super cool. The business show, the money show, and the rookie show, which is really an amazing show too that just began recently, right, Ashley?
Yeah.
So you're doing a great job with it. So Ashley, what's coming up for you? I know you were moving and shaking before everything happened. I'm sure you were multifamily, right? Burr strategy.
Yeah.
My memory.
So I just want to touch on Carol. One thing too, for everyone to pay attention to is that she's creating multiple streams of income. And with COVID, that has been so important. You know, if you just had this one stream of income and your business was shut down, you don't have anything else to rely on or to support the overhead of those other businesses. So I think right now that is a great time to make sure that you do have multiple streams of income coming in. So if something like this happened again or something different, there's other sources of income you can rely on. But right now, I just got a single family property under contract. I'm going to rehab it. Last week, I just finished my first ever gut rehab job on a 1-bedroom apartment. It was a commercial building and there was 2 residential units upstairs, and I got the one and finished it. So we have that listed for rent. Since coronavirus, I've had 3 vacancies, and I use a property management company now, but all of them were rented just doing virtual tours. So no one actually got to see it in person. The property manager sent just videos to everyone interested, and we were surprisingly able to rent them all out fairly quickly, just using the virtual tours. And then I'm also in the process of opening a liquor store, which probably if coronavirus didn't happen, it would be open by now. But now our liquor license is just delayed even longer. But it would have been nice to be open, being an essential business right now. So we'll just have to.
Is a liquor store essential by you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't hear the by you. Is the liquor store essential?
Well,
Yeah.
essential.
That's been just like clearly.
I'm in Colorado. The pot stores are essential too.
Yeah. Well, we don't have liquor or wine and grocery stores, so I don't know if that's why, but liquor stores are essential here.
Yeah. So and you're doing small multis and doing like the Burr strategy where so I started out just doing finding undervalued property and just doing a little bit of cosmetic work to them, not doing any really big rehabs. Like I'd find my best example is I purchased a duplex for $35,000. A week after closing, I had it appraised for $55,000. So that was all I did was put a new fridge in one of the units. So that was kind of my strategy. I invest in these small rural towns where I have not a lot of competition at all. Yeah.
And then now I'm starting to get into bigger rehab jobs. This one I have under contract. It's going to need a new roof. There's some mold. I mean, everything ripped out pretty much. And the day we got it under contract, the house across the street went up for sale, and it's actually it's a single family, but with an in-law suite, and could easily be a duplex. And it has a nice big garage that would be perfect to store all of our tools and materials in while we're working the other rehabs. So I have an offer pending right now on the property across the street. So great. We'll see about that, but right now, I just want to make sure that I'm not over leveraging myself. So we're just doing cash offers. Both of our offers were really low on the property. The one it's pending right now, it was listed at $74,000. Hasn't even been on the market a week, and we offered $48,000. So the chance of getting that, who knows? But if we did it, it would be a great deal and worth it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I would add to that too, in terms of the topic of diversification, that, we're very heavily into multifamily. But what I'm really happy about that I don't know if we were strategic or not strategic at the time, but we're in different markets. So we feel diversified from the perspective of just having different markets that we have buildings in. And we're learning a lot about what markets have not missed a beat and other markets that, we're seeing a little bit of an effect of in terms of, collections and things. So
yeah, that's a great point too, the markets.
Yeah, I mean, diversifying and assets or, obviously markets too, being mindful. And if you're interested in a market right now in terms of investing, I would be studying it and keep your eyes on it now, even if you're not ready to buy, or you don't know if the timing is right to buy. Now is the time, and a few weeks ago and a few months ago were the time to be really studying your market, because when you see that opportunity, you want to be able to jump on it quickly. And you're like, I don't know that market. I don't know what's, then you don't have time. And then someone else has jumped in, right? So you're going to lose that opportunity. So I just want to mention that.
Another thing that I've been harping on lately that to really study right now is your business partners and the people you have relationships with, or maybe you're planning to invest with them in the future. Now is the time to watch how they're reacting and how they're handling everything that's going on. And not only like your business partners on a property, but also, your accountant, your attorney, people you have connections with like that, even the landscapers you work with and different, professionals that you have for your business. How are they reacting, and do you want to continue working with them, or maybe there is someone else who is just dominating what's going on right now and running everything so smoothly, and you want to work with them next?
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? People show you their true colors when the shit has hit the fan, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm curious to hear from the three of you. I really appreciate the three of you and admire you, and I think this opportunity we're going through is, call it a pandemic, call it an opportunity, call it whatever you want. The more you learn about yourself, I think will then position you to be that much more of a better investor, better business owner, and just a better person, right? And just kind of being our full self. So, and it's not easy looking at yourself in the mirror, but I've learned more about myself in the last 6 weeks. And I'm I love personal growth and I do all those weekends, but I've learned literally more about myself in these past 6 weeks, the good, the bad, the ugly, than many years before that. So I think that's something to be really mindful of. Not that you have to learn something every day, but I think growing and learning about ourselves, not just learning a new technique or, that's also important, but I think that's really important right now. And I'm curious to hear from all of you. And I'm happy to share what I've learned, like tons of things I've learned about myself, things that I like and I don't like, what you learn about yourself and what you're, what has been coming up for you as a mom, as a woman, as an investor, as someone who's just kind of keeping it all together. Because I feel like that's what a lot of us women are doing, is keeping it all together to have some normalcy in our households. So I'm curious, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about yourself, Carol?
What have I learned about myself other than how much I love baked goods? I mean, that one is front.
Well, that's really important right one. And how much I love white wine. Beyond those, that's beyond that.
Things. Well, beyond that, I think people, I almost feel bad because I feel like every time I speak, like this is always so front and center, but I have to harp on it even more, right? I think now more than ever, I've really kind of rediscovered and just been that much more convicted in the reason we do this real estate investing and working for ourselves. And it's all about my kids, right? So it's just, it was interesting because if you followed along in any of our stories and stuff, it's really been like the past year and a half that I've really ventured out on my own with some of my own adventures, some of my own business things, rather than just, me and Jay as a team. I've really gone and done that. Rewind to 6 or 8 weeks ago, though, when schools are shut down and everything else, it would have been real easy for me to be like, kids, you've got all your stuff online. We're very fortunate. Sarasota was really quick to get online learning up and running. Kids, go do your stuff, make it happen, figure it out. But I was very much like, no, my businesses are just going to kind of hold steady right now. They'll be there when life gets a little bit back to normal. And I've got to be honest. I mean, there are a lot of really hard days. I don't know how you're all feeling about this, like the audience and stuff like that. Our kids, they're so out of sorts. They miss their friends. They miss being in a classroom. They don't know what's up. So it's like I've devoted so much time, even more so, I think, than I did before, having that commitment to the kids. And more than anything, it's really just, again, it's just a good affirmation and a reminder of why I think all of us are on this financial independence journey, of why we're all doing these things, that we can spend time with our families and, not necessarily being after the stuff, but being after the experiences and the memories. So I think more than anything, that's what it was. It's just been a really great reminder of why we choose to live our lives the way we do. Because frankly, I'm curious if you all see this too. Do you all feel like a lot of times people who aren't in this whole investing world, people who do different things, like, your friends friends, your kids' friends, parents and stuff, they look at you like you're completely crazy, right? They just can't relate to the lifestyle that we live. And once in a while, you're like, maybe I am crazy. Like I'll say to Jay, I'm like, I'm really beginning to think we are the crazy ones. But I'm like, no, fortunately, I think we've made this decision and thank goodness that we did. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. How about you, Ashley?
My day-to-day hasn't changed as much besides like having to get my oldest off to school. Because I've been working on rehabs lately. So I've still been able to go to my own properties and take care of that. I've definitely struggled with, my son having school, but I've been lucky that they're young. So my kids are 6, 4, and 3, where, they're not used to going over to friend's house, and it's not a big deal not to see their, only one of my kids is actually in school. So we do have my sister-in-law and her kids recently moved in next door. So we've been kind of, quarantining together, and she helps out on the farm. So my kids have her kids to play with, which hasn't been so bad. But I definitely am realizing that I don't have the patience with my kids as much as I thought I did.
Oh my God.
So that is definitely something I've been learning about myself. But I don't know. I've enjoyed the time with my husband too, especially like at night when he gets done in the barn, he'll come in and we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. So it's just like every night feels like a date night or something like that, because we're stuck home anyways. And, it's not like one of us has somewhere to go or the kids have something to do. So I have enjoyed that. And we've been trying to work on aligning, like I have alignment meetings, aligning our goals for like my business and his business, because our businesses are completely separate. He has the dairy farm, I have the real estate, and we've never were really involved in each other's businesses. I mean, when I first started dating him, was, madly in love with him. Yes, I'd truck out to the barn and milk cows with him and, toss manure around, whatever. But now that, I'm married, I got the ring, who cares about it? And with real estate, he's never really been that involved in it. This winter he did help me a lot on rehabs now that I've been more hands-on, and we just kind of talked about how we'd like to be more involved in each other's businesses. So getting to talk about that and realize what we want to do more in the future has been one benefit to being stuck home all the time, is that we get to talk more and communicate more in person and not just text throughout the day.
Yeah. That's neat. That's a really good point. I always said when this started, I'm like, either people are going to end up, closer together, or divorces are going to go up. I think that's going to be one, or people just forget who, one another is. But that's great. That's great to hear. How about you, Mindy? What have you learned about yourself?
Well, I've learned I really like whiskey.
That's an important thing. Super important.
I have learned that I need to work on patience too, because my kids are 13 and 10, and they, my oldest is a self-starter and my youngest needs help all the time. And we are not having any online learning. Our school has not been very quick to adapt to what's going on. And they just basically sent home a big pile of stuff and said, here, every week, my fourth graders teacher will send out a list of, these are the things you need to do. But then I need to teach her the math, because she's not going to just figure it out by herself. It doesn't make any sense until you're explained it. She's, she can do the reading on her own and she can do all of that on her own, but she's decided she doesn't want to learn from dad. I'm like, but dad's retired. Dad can teach you and I have a job. And so we're getting up early and we're trying that. And, but every once in a while it does get a little overwhelming. Like, how long can I keep continuing to do this? Well, I'm just going to have to keep continuing to do this until, it's safe to go outside. And I don't know when that's going to be. So that's, patience is definitely, if anybody has tips on how to give me patience, Mindy Jensen, Mindy@biggerpockets.com. Email me your tips.
Maybe Ashley can open like another liquor store, like right around the corner.
There you go.
With your whiskey situation. I think that'd be, see, it's like it all comes full circle. You've got to
we'll deliver, Mindy.
Totally.
We'll ship it.
There you go.
Perfect.
Just let it stay outside for a day or two. And then
exactly. I've got Clorox.
Don't forget that. I know for me, it's funny. Like I had a little, my perfect little schedule before all this happened. I had my daughter in a part-time daycare, and then I'd be with her part-time. And then my son was in kindergarten, so he was in full-time kindergarten. And I have a hat in our business and running our business, but Matt's been more taking the charge of our portfolio. And then I've been really jumping into more with our investor community and just supporting. And Justin and I've been working on all these creative ideas over the last year of what we can give women and help them. And then everything happened, right? So my daughter stopped going to daycare, and my son obviously stopped going to school. And we're not bringing anyone in to help us. So my time has gotten squeezed, right? So then I'm like, okay. And then all of our community is growing, right? All of our communities are growing. People want support. They want help. And we're so grateful. So our opportunities have increased, right? So your need for the work time has increased. Your need for your actual time has not. So that put me in a major dilemma. So I do drink white wine, which has helped a lot. But I've also really worked on, and I've learned about myself, is how important it is to pick the right people to partner with. And how important it is to surround yourself with people who are going to pull you up and not tear you down. And I know it's so easy to say that, right? You just Google partnerships, and there's a gazillion blogs about how to find the right people. But when this is going on, I'm so grateful to not be in all the stuff I'm involved in alone, and I'm just grateful for it. And, it doesn't change the fact that I have a lot to get done. We all do. But, when I'm with my kids and I'm helping my son and he's getting frustrated, I'm like, I'm not checking my email. I know it's 95 things I have to do, but I'm going to be present. So that's what I've been really working on. I don't think I've perfected it by any means. Not even close, but I'm really conscious of it. Like this morning, I'm like, I'm going to be doing something, and I'm so excited about this at noon. But from 9 to noon, I was really, with my son and my daughter. I mean, they were making me nuts. My daughter was getting naked and all that good stuff, but because she's 3 and just gets naked all the time. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, I'm like, why are you naked again? But anyway, being present, I think could help us all. It certainly is helping me, but I got to work on it every day because it doesn't come naturally. I just want to check the email and get back to this person and help them. And we can't, right? We have to be present to what we're doing. So that's what I've been learning.
Really good point, because I'll try to, when he's doing his homework, I'll try to cook dinner or, do a million different things at once. But it does make it so much easier when you actually just sit down and just spend that time and get it over with.
And knock it out, Yeah. So I wanted to mention that. So questions, anyone have any questions for these amazing women from a business perspective, live-in flips, the BRRRR strategy, multifamily, just trying to figure it all out.
My favorite drink is, since everyone.
What your favorite drink is, we love questions.
I want to know what your favorite drink is, Ashley.
It is. Yeah, it is Truly, but the flavor rosé.
Oh,
I haven't had that one yet. I like
those seltzers.
But with alcohol.
I know that, but are they the alcoholic seltzers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And it's rosé flavored.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to try that based on Ashley's recommendation. Kate said, I love all the podcasts and these live sessions. It helps me a lot because I don't have anyone in my circle of friends to bounce questions off of. So I want to plug the Bigger Pockets Money Facebook group, the Real Estate Rookie Facebook group, the Invest Her Facebook group. What is how do you find the Invest Her Facebook group?
Oh, just
Liz?
Put it's the Real Estate Invest HER.
Okay.
In Facebook.
Yep. And the Bigger Pockets groups, you do have, there's the official Bigger Pockets Facebook group.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to join any of those Bigger Pockets groups, there are questions you have to answer, and you do have to agree to follow the rules because we do not allow any spam or promotions or any of that garbage that you find in so many other groups. You need to promise that you're going to do that or you won't be accepted. I'm sorry, but we have to make sure that everybody's going to follow our rules.
And I just want to say to Kate that I can completely relate to her because I don't have anyone in real life, I guess, that is a woman or mom investor. I mean, I have 2 guy friends, in real life that are investors. And even still, that's such a small circle of investors for me, in my area. So I can definitely relate to having, this online community and these Zoom calls and these webinars and just to connect with people who are like-minded and love talking about real estate.
We've gotten some good questions. Jay, I don't know if we're going to answer your question.
Yeah, I've got an eye roll question. How awesome are your husbands? My husband's
I'll
great.
start. My husband is so awesome. Oh my gosh, he is the most
Next question.
awesome husband.
Matt hates it when he goes to a conference and he meets someone. He's talking to them and he's like, oh, you're Liz's husband. He's like, Liz's husband. I'm Matt Faircloth. You can't, Matt's like, they knew about your podcast and what you're doing. You're Miss Thing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, now I'm not Matt's wife. But anyway, moving on. Jay, we love
Jason, you are awesome. Thank you. You've been amazing for all this. Thank you. Okay, let's move on though.
Oh, Joey has a good question. How can I bring my wife to the same interests like you ladies? This is a question I get over and over again. How do I get my wife onto the financial independence movement? How do I get my wife into investing? How do I convince her? Short answer, you're not going to convince her. She has to come to this realization on her own. So you share podcasts with her. Hey, let's listen to this podcast in the car. I thought it was really interesting. And I'd like you to hear the story of how this person did this really awesome thing. Oh, hey, that's interesting. Maybe I would look into it. Or you know what? That doesn't interest me. Oh, okay. Let's look at a different way to do this. Maybe flipping freaks her out, but investing in general doesn't. Maybe investing in general flips her out and you need to figure out a way to frame that differently. A common recommendation is look at down your life. What is it that you want to do in 10 years? Do you want to get that promotion? Do you want to be, working 60 hours a week? No, you want to spend time with your kids or be on vacation or whatever. How can we get there? Let's look at reducing our income. I always screw that up. Reducing our spending, increasing our income in different ways, creating passive income streams, blah, blah, blah. So, ask questions of what she wants. And that can really help her reframe her mind. A lot of people think, oh, if I'm going to be on the path to financial independence, and of course I'm coming at this from the money standpoint, but if I'm going to be on the path to financial independence, that means giving up everything and leading a life of deprivation. That's not true. I have everything I want. I just don't want a lot of stuff. I don't care what people think of the way that I dress. And if you could see, I still have my pajama pants on right now.
We all have stretchy pants on. Absolutely. I would also just add to that too, just a thought is to start from the big picture. Because so many people are like, do you want to get involved in a business together or real estate investing together? But that's not the first question. The first question is more like, where do we want to be in 5 years? What's important to us? What kind of legacy do we want to leave? Like, these are big questions that you're not going to answer in like a 2-minute conversation. But those are really, I think, the most important questions are like, where do we want to be as a couple and as a family? What do we want to leave to our kids? Then the next question of breaking that down and then getting to what vehicle might get us there, and then getting that spouse involved and interested. But people start there, and you got to get much bigger and much more emotionally connected to the why behind all this versus the what, if you will. So just a thought. We got a few more questions here. We got a few more questions. Good stuff.
I like the one right above Joey. Is there a rule of thumb or a simple formula to make sure you are not over leveraged? And, nobody could predict the pandemic, but I'm seeing so many people who are like, I can't pay my mortgage. You've been 2 weeks into this. What do you mean you can't pay your mortgage? And, having reserves is just so important. Not over. I don't know that there's a rule of thumb though. Can you sleep at night? Can you afford to pay? How long can you afford to pay your mortgage with no tenants? And, Ashley has a great business strategy where she partners with people who have money, but not the time or information to do the real estate investing. So she's not over leveraged because it's not her money. And that's, I can pay the mortgages on both of my houses here in Longmont without any input from any tenants. But when a tenant comes in, it's just better. So I'm okay to look for another property. Am I okay to look for 2 more properties? Maybe not. So I think how long can you pay your mortgages by yourself is a really good thing to just think about.
Yeah, for me personally too, anything that I do have a bank mortgage on, I make sure I have 6 months of reserves to pay that mortgage, insurance, and property taxes. And then I also have the partners so that, if something did happen, that's 50-50. We're responsible for, covering that expense or, the mortgage payment if something went over 6 months. But I also, any property that's financed is 75% loan to value or less. We never do anything more than that. And that's just what helps us sleep at night. We feel comfortable with having 25% equity left in our property. And hopefully every day they're still appreciating a little bit to add to that amount.
That's great. All right. So Michelle, we got a question from you here. You're a realtor, interior designer, husband does okay, I don't need to read it, but we plan to start with flip in a great market, but seems like most are steering clear for now. Your thoughts?
Can I take that one? Is that
Go
okay?
for it.
Mm-hmm. I would like to recommend, Michelle, that with any property, and I don't think this is really necessarily just now during this pandemic, I think anytime you analyze a property ever, no matter what time, you just need to make sure that you have multiple exit strategies, right? So you're looking at, you plan to start with a flip. We've done lots and lots of flips. We'll just leave it at that. But we have never, ever, ever purchased a flip if there are not at least 3 different potential exit strategies for that property. So I would just recommend look and run your numbers different ways. Will this work as a flip? Great. But what if the market were to completely tank, which it may not, nobody knows right now. Nobody has a crystal ball. Would this work as a rental? I don't know if this is something that might work in your area, but would the numbers work as an Airbnb? Is this something that if, it were the right opportunity, could this work as a wholesale deal where you can pass it off to another investor? So I think it's so very much on a case-by-case basis as far as the property, the market, and you're in. And again, nobody knows what's going to happen with the timing of everything. So I would just absolutely recommend that you run the numbers several different ways to see if there are different ways you can get out of that property if you needed to.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Yeah. Third. So Jamie, you asked a question about a free website if you, with regards to construction costs per square foot that you would recommend. Wow. We need to recommend the best book you can read from that perspective, right?
Thank you. I'm looking to see if I have a copy.
I'm looking too. I think I have it in my
I
book.
don't have one. Yeah, mine's in the other office, but there is this lovely book called The Book on Estimating Rehab Costs, and you can buy it, you guessed where, on biggerpockets.com. So check that out. It's not exactly free, but it's pretty darn close, and it'll break it down for you.
Yeah. And I would also just say when people want to, figure out construction costs, and it's a great question, start Googling and going on Home Depot and just start learning your prices too. Because then if you're more educated on your prices, on what things cost, then you're really going to figure out, okay, so am I being taken here or not? And there's a lot to that process, but getting really clear, obviously Jay Scott's book is amazing, but start doing some of your own research on what, if we're doing a flip or a renovation, what those things just cost. If you don't know what anything costs, just start researching it yourself too.
And I would add, learn what steps go into that project. When you tile a floor, it isn't just the tile on top. It's also grout, it's mastic underneath. Do you need an underlayment? These are all sorts of things that are covered in, like, you can find these on YouTube videos. How do I tile my shower? Oh, now I need cement board for the back of that. What does a cement board cost? So it isn't just the 99 cents a square foot that you're buying the tile for. There's other things involved in there.
Yeah.
But Liz's idea of just going into the store and looking once it's no longer a health issue.
Yeah.
Just look and see what things cost, because that's a great free way to learn this, and, doing it yourself, you will learn so much more.
And you can start an Excel spreadsheet. Just type in every single thing you think you will need and go room by room. And then you can even look it up on Home Depot, Lowe's, and then plug in those numbers, and it'll kind of give you a starting point as to what your price should be on just materials.
I'd like to add as well, since this is a little special Mother's Day episode talking about how you can get your kids involved in that process. Because again, it's always about the math lesson. When the pandemic's over, there's no shame in creating like a little scavenger hunt sheet of paper. And you say, hey kid, Go find 3 different cool pieces of tile that you like and tell me how much they cost. And so whether you're actually going to use that piece of tile or whatever in your flip, that's really irrelevant. The point is, it just gets your kids involved in your business from the time that they're little and makes it fun for them. Like we used to when the kids were little, when they were 2 and 3, we would say, okay, we have a project for you. Go count how many doors are in this entire house. And you just make it really fun for them and get them involved. And they're just learning stuff all along the way.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And I think we need to continually look at our current business and how we get our kids, regardless of their age, involved, right? And talking about money and talking about these things. It's critical. I love that. All right. How do you keep track? We got AI. We don't know your name, but your AI. That's very cool. Do you find it difficult as a female dealing with some people trying to overcharge for repairs? I've get to so many quotes. Okay. So how do you deal with that? Is it an issue? I've experienced that. I'm sure the ladies on this call would probably agree. Where are you guys at with that? I'm sure it's happened to me multiple times, but.
Well,
yes.
I didn't know how to do any repairs or anything like that. And since my husband wasn't very involved, I actually took on a partner who knew how to do all that. So I gave him equity in the building and taught me how to do all the rehab. And we did hire out a couple contractors and we would just talk about it. And he obviously had more experience than me. And so I kind of leveraged a partner to kind of take on that responsibility of working with contractors and figuring out how much things should cost.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing, knowing what things cost is the first thing. So if you know your numbers and you know about where it should be, right? Okay. I'm going to put an HVAC system in this property and kind of like in this market with these labor rates, and you've done that homework, right? Through all these different resources we just mentioned, you're going to know your number or at least a range. So now you have that range and Joe Smith gives you like double that, right? And you're like, hold on, so I think the more we act as the confident women we are, not like aggressive, but confident, I think will help too. Because sometimes if I'm not sure of something and I come across not sure, people sometimes are like, hold on, like especially when it comes to a contractor. So I don't know. I think that's just one general thing we all can do, but I absolutely, it's real. And knowing your numbers and standing up for yourself is going to be the key. And if somebody's trying to take advantage and overcharge you, they're definitely not the people you want to be working with and building a partnership with. So, and long-term relationship too. So these are people who are just showing you their true colors too, as contractors.
Yes. And I don't want to stick up for all contractors because some of them really are just trying to take advantage of you, but there are some who don't have time for your job. So they, rather than saying no to you, they're just going to throw out some ridiculous price. And if you'll agree to $10,000 to replace the toilet, they'll find time to come out to you to replace your toilet for $10,000 or whatever it is. So it's, it's not necessarily always taking advantage of you, but it's definitely know your numbers and figure it out. Sometimes that's the only person that's calling you back too. I think that if somebody could get together and just make a company that provides rehab estimates and answers the phone, they would be a bajillionaire in about 5 minutes. Have a reliable electrician, plumber, drywall, like everything, and then just create your own company where you actually answer the phone. You will make $1 million.
Love it. How do you keep track of preventative maintenance for your rentals? Very, very good question. I self-manage 5 doors. This is Christine. Okay, so you have a property manager for 2. So how do you keep track? I could take that one if you'd like. I mean, obviously preventative maintenance is really important. It's kind of hard right now if you're going to physically do inspections because a lot of, you're not going in, you're not doing the physical stuff we were doing. But before pandemic, we would always yearly twice a year, you have the ability to, at least quarterly, schedule that time for yourself, whether it's you or somebody that works for you. And you have pretty much a guideline, like a checklist. And they're looking for, these 20 things from a preventative perspective. Scheduling it, making sure you do it. And then what to do, that depends on the property, the age of the property, the condition of the property, all those sort of things. Obviously, if you buy property and you renovate it fully and it's in like pristine condition when you rent it, preventative maintenance will be a little different than if you're buying like a C-class property that it was okay when you bought it and it's still in an okay condition. It all, again, depends on your asset class. I don't know. But I think the biggest thing with preventative maintenance that I've spoken to a lot of landlords on, people don't make time for it and they don't know what they're doing when they actually schedule it and actually do it. So if you do those two things, that should help a little bit. It's a really quick answer, but I wanted to get to all the questions that are here.
If I can just add to it.
Yeah, go for it. I gave a quick round answer there. Sorry.
So I have someone else do, all the preventative maintenance, and I leave it up to them. So like for my plumber, if they do check the hot water tanks, furnaces each year, they text me and send me, the reminder, okay, this is you're up for your annual inspection or whatever. And the same for, gutter cleaning, stuff like that. I leave it up to them to text me, and then that's just, I give them my business because they do that for me every year. I don't have to keep track of it. They do.
I like that too.
They want to do that because they want the job. So it works out.
That's a great suggestion. All right, this is going to be our last question. So we want to be mindful of everyone's time and commitments here. We went over a little bit. Starting out, hi, Dora. Were you all intentional to make time for networking events as a busy parent? Any other networking options that work for you when starting out? It's a really, really good question. Any suggestions there, ladies? That's a big one.
I'll start with that one. I think from the very beginning, I was intentional with a specific type of networking, which wasn't necessarily going to large scale networks. I mean, again, that was back in 2008. So I think real estate investing had a slightly different face than it does now. Like VP wasn't as big and all that type of thing. That said, what I've always done since the very beginning is made it an ongoing commitment that every single week, no matter what the heck is going on, I can find time to do either lunch or coffee with somebody in the industry somewhere. So it's like, even if the kids, for example, if I had my mother's helper with me and I could run up the street to grab a coffee for 40 minutes with another investor, I would absolutely make sure that happened. So I think it's just important to remember that yes, large scale networking events are important, but you can gain lots of insight and information and knowledge from just one-off little networking connections as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. How about you, Ashley, Mindy, any suggestions there?
I find it really important to go to big networking events because I don't know who I'm going to meet there. And I like to have an open mind over, who I'm talking to. Oh, what kind of investing do you do? And I let them just go on. And that sounds rude. I don't mean it like that, but people love to talk about themselves. So they go on and on about what they're doing. And like, oh, I have an idea that would work out. Or like, I met a guy who runs the Clayton Homes location near me. They make manufactured homes. And he says that he can't, he'll pull an old home out of a park to replace with his. And then he has to actually pay to have those homes destroyed because there's no market for those old homes. So I'm thinking to myself, who do I know that needs old homes anywhere near Colorado? It's really fun for me to meet people like that. And, kind of think about that. But yeah, being intentional about networking. If you don't know what you're doing, you can't teach yourself. Go to Bigger Pockets, network on Bigger Pockets, go to the local meetups and just see who you talk to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And making time for it. And also thinking strategically of where you want to go, because so many times you go to these meetups and it's like every other meetup. So like whether it's the topic or the speaker or the people that are going to be there, you just want to surround yourself, especially online. There's probably more you could do now online than before, which is pretty neat. But it's still hard to connect, right? Because it's online and you're not really, talking. So these types of things and, just making time for it, but maybe not every week, but once a month, what works for you, especially with all the kids and everything. Well, thank you, ladies, for being part of this. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. We could probably go on the whole day here. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for just being your amazing selves. Thank you, all of you, for watching and being part of this with us. And Matt will be back next Monday at 12. He has Chad Carson, I think he's interviewing or doing a session with. So definitely tune into that. I think the week after he's talking with Ashley Wilson. So yeah, those are the next 2 weeks. He'll be back on. So unfortunately I won't. I know you'll be sad. Because I'm so much better than him. No, I'm joking. I love him dearly and he loves this. So, and I appreciate being here doing the Mother's Day special with these fantastic women. So thank you all for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for putting it together.
Yes, this was a great suggestion, Liz.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm so grateful to be among the three of you. So thank you. And all our listeners and tuner inners. That's awesome. Thanks for making the time. Yeah. And always remember, you're all amazing people. I mean, what we're all doing right now is hard stuff, and we're doing it and we're surviving, and we're going to come out on the other end. So give yourself credit, and remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be there, and you have to survive and try and make it through. Well, I'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And get the support you need. And there's so many resources here with Bigger Pockets. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.